Youth hostelling. Graham and I were school friends. When we reached the age of 14, our parents agreed that we could go youth hostelling. We decided that we would hitchhike to Hostelling Youth Hostel near Southend. Our adventure was not totally successful. By the time we had walked down to what we considered to be a likely pick-up point, I already had a slight pain in my foot. We left home around 9 o'clock in the morning, and by the time we got our first lift on the North Circular Road at about 11:30, we were feeling quite dispirited. Would we get to our booked hostel at Hockley before dark? We made slow progress and also did quite a lot of walking. The pain in my foot became less slight as the blister ballooned up. But finally we got lucky. A lorry driver stopped for us on the B184, and after a brief chat we discovered that he could take us quite close to our destination. "You'll have to go in the back though," he told us. "No seats in the cab." He was grinning as he spoke, clambering down to open the tailgate. The lorry was flat and open and almost empty, though there were a few blobs of mud scattered about. We made ourselves as comfortable as possible, and the lorry started to move. I looked at Graham. His head was raised at an angle, and he seemed to be sniffing something. "What is it, Graham?" I asked. "Well, if you can't smell it, it must be you," he replied. Now, my sense of smell isn't great, but I soon became aware of the smell Graham had brought to my attention. I shuffled round on the floor and bent forward to sniff one of the larger blobs. "Horse manure." "Could have been worse, Graham," I said. "He could have been delivering the stuff instead of going home." We arrived at Hoccley Youth Hostel near Southend in good time, and were pleased to see 3 very attractive girls dismounting from their bikes, arriving at the same time as us. Graham immediately started chatting to them, but I pulled him away. "Better shower first," I whispered. We did. I suppose it's more difficult to wash off the smell of horse manure with the Youth Hostel Association cold, dribbly shower, but we did our best. Nicely spruced up, hair combed, we approached the girls who were beginning to prepare food in the kitchen. But our chat came to nothing. I put it down to Graham being too forward. Graham put it down to the fact that, unlike him, I didn't have a change of clothes. The next morning we were given a task. I just want you to sweep up the wood shavings in the barn," the hostel manager said, and indicated 2 brooms. We entered the barn and saw a large boat under construction. There were a lot of wood shavings all over the floor, which was cobbled. It was like a task on a TV reality show. By the time the shavings had gone, so had the girls. As we trudged away from the hostel, we agreed our next hostelling trip would be on our bikes. So, the following year, we set off for High Roding Youth Hostel, near Chelmsford, a reasonable first-day ride of about 30 miles. Essex is a relatively flat country, and away from the main roads there's some beautiful countryside. We took our time, stopping when there was a particularly good view, and munching bananas to keep our energy up. We got quite close to High Roding when I happened to notice a remarkable sight on a hill to our right. "Look, Graham, look!" I pointed to a distant working windmill, a pretty picture for a couple of townies. And although there was no sign of rain, there was a rainbow neatly framing the windmill. We continued to look as we cycled along, Graham on the inside, me on the outside. "Look out, Graham, look!" I shouted as I rounded the van in front of us. Graham didn't. His bike hit the back of the van hard, and over the handlebars he went. Fortunately, the back doors of the van were open, and Graham sailed into the back. He was lucky to have a relatively soft landing. The van belonged to a fishmonger who was delivering fish to residents of the Essex village. He must have just started delivering because the back of his van was filled with fish. Graham slithered smoothly over most of them until his head hit the tray of eggs, some of which remained unbroken even after the collision. Graham slowly crawled backwards out of the van. His clothes were glistening, the sunlight reflecting his newly acquired scales, and his ginger hair was scarcely visible through the egg yolks and bits of shell. Moments later, the fishmonger came round the back of the van to collect the next order. Better than manure, I thought.